Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to completely reframe how you understand the famous golden mountain town of Jiufen. When most people think of Jiufen, they usually picture bustling tea houses and crowded tourist streets. But today, we're skipping all that and starting right here at its true spiritual porch, the Zhaoling Temple.
We're standing right at the doorstep of the century-old Zhaoling Temple, greeted by this striking orange-red structure crowned with a brilliant golden roof. And this isn't just any temple, by the way. It's the absolute focal point of the community and literally the only city god temple in the entire Rifang area. It stands as a profound witness to a century of history, from the early gold rush days right up to the modern era.
So, here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with the temple's role as Jiufen's mountain spiritual gateway and the spectacle of its roof parking lot. Then, we'll dive into the gold rush and the temple's legend, explore its unique double shrine design, and finally, look at its spiritual network in the mountains.
All right, kicking things off with sections 1 and 2, the mountain gateway and the roof parking spectacle. Let's see exactly how this massive, impressive structure physically fits into such extreme, unforgiving mountain terrain.
Check out this 3D map. You can see how Jiufen's roads form a really distinct, steep grid. The temple masterfully anchors the intersection of the town's primary arteries, Qiche Road and Qingbian Road. But because flat land is basically non-existent up here, it creates a wild geographic quirk. Notice how the temple courtyard actually doubles as a parking lot, resting directly on top of the concrete roofs of the residential houses located right below it.
As we break down the spatial elements here, you'll see the temple faces west to offer these sweeping views of the northern coast. But the real genius is in its adaptation. This 3D space sharing brilliantly turns harsh geographic limitations into a modern community asset. I mean, local bed and breakfasts even use this roof parking for their guests. It just proves this building is an absolute masterclass in spatial adaptation.
Moving on to Section 3, the Gold Rush and Temple Legend. You might be wondering, why was this grand temple built on such a steep, precarious cliff in the first place? Well, to answer that, we have to rewind exactly 100 years and look at the foundation of the town itself. The legend actually begins in 1923 near the Baffin Pit. Child laborers who were scavenging for gold molded a simple mud statue to play with. Miraculously, one of the boys was possessed by the spirit of General Shi, who demanded they build a shrine. Shortly after that, this humble mud statue supposedly cured a terrible local plague, and that kick-started the formal temple construction you see here.
But let me tell you, building a temple here is a constant battle against nature. To survive Jiufen's punishing winter winds, heavy rain, and corrosive sea salt, the structure had to constantly evolve. It transformed from that initial grass hut in 1923 to reinforced concrete in 1976, and finally, after a grueling 10-year reconstruction entirely funded by devoted locals, into an indestructible stone monument in 2002.
This fascinating image captures that crucial 1976 concrete phase. It was a sturdy but ultimately temporary architectural stepping stone. It protected the community and their gods during a transitional era, basically buying them the time they needed to gather the immense funds required for the final stone masterpiece that stands today. Let's jump to Section 4, Step Inside, the unique double shrine design. Come on into the main hall with me, because once you cross the threshold, you're going to notice something highly unusual about how the gods are seated in this space. To maximize what little vertical space they have on the mountain, the temple utilizes a brilliantly complex double-layered shrine design. Unlike traditional flat temples, this vertical stacking strictly divides the spiritual functions between the first and second floors, creating a highly organized spiritual hierarchy. The setup is intensely deliberate. The bustling lower floor is basically the judicial branch. It's for immediate justice, worldly protection, and daily community matters. Meanwhile, the quieter, more intimate upper floor honors the temple's deep historical roots and its high-ranking foundational deities. And this perfectly illustrates that concept. You can literally see the hierarchy. You've got the massive, imposing, town-protecting Xiahai City God dominating the first floor, managing daily justice. Then you have the much smaller, original, founding city god, the one dating all the way back to those 1923 mud statue days, sitting revered and perfectly protected up on the second floor. Flanking the lower judicial space are these two towering figures. You have General Z, the very spirit who possessed the child laborer at the mine, and alongside him is General Fan.
Together, they serve as the imposing spiritual police of the mountain, keeping the peace in what was once a very rowdy mining town. Also down here on the first floor, you find highly practical gods, tailored for a high-risk, wealth-seeking mining community. You have the deity of wealth, to grant prosperity to the miners, of course, and the yin-yang deity, who actually assists the city god in making complex judgments between the realms of the living and the dead. Now, moving up to the much more intimate second floor, you'll notice the kneeling mats are placed extremely close to the deities. Here we find the three Lord Saviors, who desperate miners literally prayed to for guidance in finding gold veins. Sitting near them is the city god's wife, a vital figure for female worshippers who are seeking much-needed family harmony and safety for their husbands down in the mines.
Finally, Section 5, the Living Temple, Spiritual Network in the Mountains. You see, this beautiful building isn't just a static museum frozen in the gold rush era, it is the beating heart of a massive, dynamic spiritual network that is very much alive today.
Every 8th lunar month, for the city god's birthday, local leaders travel all the way to Taipei to invite the highly prestigious Guangdou's second Mazu to Jiufen. She's brought here to sit right beside the city god, accepting incense together. This physical journey permanently links isolated Jiufen to northern Taiwan's wider religious ecosystem. Then, on the first day of the 4th lunar month, the entire town just explodes into action during the Jiufen Mazu procession. This is a massive, unified effort. It requires extreme physical exertion from the palanquin bearers to navigate the unforgiving terrain, completely relying on human power. Just look at the sheer kinetic energy of this crowd. Moving that massive palanquin requires immense skill. The bearers have to carefully walk up hundreds of steep stone stairs, and in some places, they literally have to tilt the palanquin and crouch just to squeeze through tiny, low-hanging mining tunnels left over from the gold rush. It is wild to see. This intense human effort weaves right past historical monuments, like the famous Shengping Theater, as well as monuments to those who died opening the mountain. The procession effectively draws a living, breathing map of Jiufen's gold mining history through this profound physical ritual.
So as we step out onto the second-floor balcony of the temple to smell the burning incense and look over the vast ocean, I want to leave you with a challenge. The next time you walk the steps of Jiufen, grab a cup of tea and look around. How will knowing this deeper spiritual history, born from gold dust and child miners, change the way you see the mountain? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep exploring.